On tonight's Gwinnett Prep Rally, spring break is over and the local soccer teams are back on the pitch. The Mill Creek boys are gunning for a Region 7 title, but took a break from their quest for a row battle against 2010 state runner-ups Northview. Peachtree Ridge boys look to break a 2-game losing streak, but they would face a tough task going on the road to number 2 ranked Centennial. And on the girls' side, 90 minutes of soccer couldn't determine a winner, so the Peachtree Ridge and Centennial girls decided to shoot it out. GPR soccer coverage is head and shoulders above the rest, and it starts right now.
For more than 15 years, your source for Gwinnett County sports is Gwinnett Prep Rally.
Hello again and welcome to your county's original high school sports television program. This is Gwinnett Prep Rally, now in its 19th season, and we can be seen right here on GCPS TV for the entire 2011-2012 school year. I'm Todd Klein alongside Will Hammock from the Gwinnett Daily Post. And Will, the soccer regular season is coming down the home stretch and the region title races are starting to heat up.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting finish. I think in Region 8 it's going to be very interesting at the end, like always, with Brookwood and Parkview going head-to-head for the region championships. And then in Region 7 it's so competitive top to bottom. There's going to be a lot of jockeying for position over there in 7-5A.
Well, let's get right to the highlights, and we start with the Mill Creek boys stepping out of region to go on the road to face a very good Northview Titans squad. GPR's Nathan Shutter has more.
Mill Creek on the road for a non-region tilt against an always dangerous Northview squad. Titans with an early opportunity. Peyton Erickson centers it for Alex Rotoloni. His chip shot goes just wide and out of play. Mill Creek with a chance off the throw in from Ben O'Toole. Northview is unable to clear it, and Peyton Sutton heads it into the back of the net for the first tally of the game. Hawks up 1-0. Northview looking for the equalizer. Erickson charging hard down the right side, and he fires a shot, but it sails just over the crossbar and out of play. 24th minute, Mill Creek on the attack. Tajay Hoppings with a pass to Brandon O'Toole. Anthony Kim makes a brilliant save, but O'Toole gathers the rebound and puts in his second effort for the goal. That put the Hawks up 2-0. Northview now with the free kick. Rotoloni sends it into the box. Chris Ahn heads a shot on goal, but Stephen Arroyave is there for the save. Titans will break through in the 33rd minute. Rotoloni passes it out to Brandon Dean. His shot takes a deflection and rolls past the keeper to cut the lead to 2-1 at the break. Second half, Mill Creek trying to extend the lead. Nick Muntean uncorks a dipping shot that goes just wide of the target. 42nd minute, Tyler Moody shoots from close range. Kim makes another tough save, but Moody is there to deposit the rebound into the back of the net to give Mill Creek a 3-1 advantage. Northview with a chance off the corner kick. Ryan Hidari sends the ball in. Chris Ahn gets ahead on it, but Ryan Spittler keeps the ball out, and the Titans can't capitalize on the opportunity. Nick Muntean looking to put this one away. His shot beats the keeper, but Jonathan Klein slides in to clear the ball and save a definite goal. But Muntean would break through in the final couple of minutes, heading the ball to himself and putting the shot on target for the goal, as Mill Creek wins on the road by a final of 4-1 over Northview.
Nice win there for the Hawks. Showed a little bit of a versatile offense there. 4 different guys getting in on the scoring.
Yeah, that's what makes this team so strong. They're so diverse on offense. They have a lot of guys that can hurt you. They certainly have top-notch goal scorers. A guy like Muntean's an excellent player, but really they have a lot of balance and got a lot of different guys that can put the ball in the net, and that's the reason they've been so successful this year, the ability to score a lot of goals.
And you talk about them being successful. Will, really a breakout year for Mill Creek, really coming into their own with that high state ranking.
Yeah, they've been really building themselves up, and I think this has definitely been their breakthrough year. I mean, they hadn't made any kind of noise in the playoffs, but I think this is the year you're going to see it happen. I think this team has a lot of potential, like we said, a lot of offensive firepower that's going to keep them in a lot of games. They're never going to be out of a game when they get down because they can score so many goals. And I think Coach Garnett does a good job up there, really built up to this season, so I think it's going to be an excellent breakthrough season continuing in the playoffs.
Well, back to the highlights, and the Peachtree Ridge boys were looking to avoid a 3-game losing streak, but they would face a very difficult road test against number 2 ranked Centennial. GPR's Wade Smith has all the action from Roswell.
Peachtree Ridge facing off against top 5 Centennial. Let's kick it off with Peachtree Ridge on the attack. Kevin Zulaga battles to make the cross inside to Jeremy Rector. The ball is deflected to Marcus Reese, who takes the quick hitter but is denied by keeper Matt Solani. Centennial would come back with the long downfield pass. MK Sabanda catches up to it in the open field, beats keeper Daryl Sack, and taps the ball into the back of the net. Centennial leads early 1-0. The Centennial offense continues as Amin El Shami drives the ball right into Daryl Sack. Sack gets the deflection and the ball is kicked away by Michael Valenzuela. Mason Herndon uses the body against Lucas Rapazzo, but Michael Valenzuela would come all the way around the play to stop the second attempt with the diving header. The Peachtree Ridge defense kept this game close the whole way. Late in the first half, Centennial's Bruno Dos Santos lobs up the chip pass and finds freshman Sebastian Guzman. Guzman splits the defenders, but Kevin Zulaga comes from the backside to deflect the ball out of harm's way. One more attempt for Centennial. A long inbound throw finds Connor Davis in great position, but Daryl Sack makes a diving save. Second half action. Ryan Fitton finds Jeremy Rector, who then finds Juan Herrera. Herrera puts it right back into Rector. Rector drives in and just hits the shot right into the waiting arms of Matt Solani. Centennial back on the attack. The deep lob to Dylan Liu sets up a one-on-one for MK Sabanda. Sabanda keeps great balance to put the one-timer past Daryl Sack, but all for naught as Sabanda is called for offsides. Centennial would get it back though as the quick one-hitter from Connor Davis is launched into the top corner. Centennial goes up 2-0. Trying to get back in it at the end, Lucas Rapazzo makes a great pass to Young Hun Nam, but Nam can't capitalize. Peachtree Ridge would net one in the closing minutes, but it wasn't enough as Centennial would go on to win 2-1.
Well, Will, they didn't get a W in the victory column, but Peachtree Ridge went on the road and kind of acquitted themselves pretty nicely against a very talented Centennial team.
Yeah, I think a lot of people maybe thought the score would be more lopsided. Centennial's an excellent team. This is a team that beat Brookwood 4-0, and Brookwood's one of our better teams. So Peachtree Ridge really showed a lot this one, showed a lot on the defensive end. You saw those defenders making great saves. Everybody talks about Peachtree Ridge's offense, but really they played really good defense to keep them in this match.
And then, Will, you talked about how they had a good effort against Centennial. How does that bode for the rest of the season? And I know that Peachtree Ridge is kind of on the edge there as far as getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, they're going to have some must-win games left with Duluth and Mountain View. They're going to have to win those to get into the playoffs, but they're right in a position to be able to do that. And certainly the talent level they showed, they can play with one of the better teams in the state. So you got to think that they have a good shot of coming out of Region 7.
Time now to recap other boys soccer action from this past week. It's brought to you by Tommy Lee Carpets. And we begin with the Norcross Blue Devils.
Yeah, Norcross got a good non-region win, beating Northview 3-0. Proved a 5-9-1 overall. It's been kind of a rough season, a rebuilding year for the Blue Devils, but had a good game in this one. Christian Perez, Jacob Griefer, and Alonzo Vega scored goals in this win. It's a good win to build for a late season run. Hopefully build some positive momentum going into next season for the Blue Devils, who have really been one of the stronger programs in recent years.
And then we move over to Parkview, had an easy win over Appalachia.
Yeah, a couple of nice wins last week. Beat Appalachia 6-1. That was kind of expected. Had a lot of 6 different guys score goals. And then they came back and beat a pretty good Providence team 2-1 last Saturday. Jimmy Dyer had an excellent game, had parts in both goals for the win over Providence. Parkview really having a great season, kind of underrated, 10-2-2 overall and undefeated in the region.
And then we talk about a team you're very high on, the Collins Hill Eagles.
Yeah, I know this was an emotional game for them. They lost to Walton in the state championship game last year. They wanted to get back out and play those guys again. So to beat Walton 1-0 was pretty satisfying. Amiri Abraham scored the game winner in the 63rd minute for Collins Hill. And I think this is a Collins Hill team we've talked about a lot in the past. Still has bright hopes for this season. They have a lot of playoff experience, and they're hoping to use it this season.
You talk about that playoff experience. We'll want to follow up on Collins Hill. What are they doing well right now that really has you so high on them in the playoffs?
I think it's just the diversity of their talent on the offensive end. They can score a lot of goals in a lot of different places. That's really been their calling card the last couple of years. They're very stout on defense, but they really have a lot of guys that can put the ball in the net, and it's not just one player they're relying on to do that. Though they do have a guy like Emmanuel Raji, who's a proven goal scorer, a go-to guy, but they have several other guys who are very explosive offensive players they can count on.
And Will, want to go back over and ask you a little bit about that Parkview team. We saw those highlights. They're playing some good soccer right now. How do you see that shaping up in Region 8-5A?
It's going to be an interesting finish. I think Brookwood, everybody talks about how good Brookwood is, but Parkview's quietly getting it done. It's a program with all kinds of tradition and certainly made a great playoff run last season, making the semifinals. So it's going to come down to a great finish. It's going to be a classic Brookwood-Parkview battle in that last game. I look forward to seeing it and seeing who comes out on top.
Well, let's turn our attention to the ladies and another tough road game for one of the teams as the Peachtree Ridge Lady Lions faced off against top 10 Centennial with bragging rights on the line. GPR's Kirk Rogers has the call.
Peachtree Ridge travels to Roswell to take on Centennial. Early on in the first half, Centennial is winning the possession game but can't seem to get any of their shots to go in. Senior standout Jordan Morrell leads the attack and has many opportunities to get the Knights on the board, but Cosette Morche stopped everything that came her way. In the second half, Peachtree Ridge is on the attack, and this time it is Lauren Scorb with the big save. Morche stayed busy on the other end, having to stop shots from Morrell and Hannah Andrews, and we are still knotted up at 0. The ball is going the other way, and with time winding down, Courtney Miller takes the shot on what becomes Peachtree Ridge's last opportunity in regulation, And on the other end, there is good ball movement by Centennial, but they can't get the shot that they are looking for, and so now we go on to penalty kicks. With Peachtree Ridge's first kick, Alana Deneen knocks it in, and Becca Nizek goes wide left. Peachtree Ridge leads 1-0. Katie Fitton and Paige McKay both put their shots in. Peachtree Ridge is now up 2-1. Lauren Scorb comes up with a big-time save here on a Graham Green attempt, and Jenna Moore sends her shot to the back of the net, and we are tied up at 2. Jordan Massell and Allison Morgan swap goals to make it 3-3, and with each team converting on their next goal, it is 4-4 and sudden death. With the game on the line, Katie Lippett knocks it in and is now all up to Cosette Morche to make one last save. With Josie Watson on the attempt, Morche guesses right, knocks it down, and that is your ball game. Peachtree Ridge wins 5-4.
Well, Will, Peachtree Ridge continues their kind of breakout year. What a big win over a state-ranked Centennial squad.
Yeah, it was a quality non-region win for them. It gives them a lot of confidence. They've really done a lot in terms of region play. They've posted some impressive wins already, and going outside of region to beat a very good team really says a lot about this team. I think they're going to be either the 1 or 2 seed coming out of a very tough Region 7.
And I know you're very high on the way they played this season. We'll talk about it. I guess it's a lot on the defensive end that really has allowed them to stand out.
Yeah, they're a very stout defensive team, very tough. Katie Lippett leads a very good defense. I think Cosette Morche, the goalkeeper, she's one of the better ones around, just a freshman. She's obviously been a huge part. They beat Collins Hill on PKs. They beat North Gwinnett on PKs. So they don't mind these local scoring battles and taking it to PKs, because when it gets to PKs, Morche is a very talented player stopping those goals.
Time now to recap other girls soccer action from this past week. It's brought to you by Breda Pest Management, and we begin with the Collins Hill Lady Eagles.
Yeah, Collins Hill is still a team with a lot of talent. I still think they're going to make some noise in the playoffs. They certainly have the potential. A lot of talented players over there. I think they can go a long way. Really lost the game last week to Walton. It was a tough one. They let a goal in early in the second half. That kind of was the difference in this one, kind of a little slip up there after halftime. But outside of that, really played Walton in a tough defensive battle. I think that, like I said, a lot of talent over there at Collins Hill.
And then we'll talk a little bit about Mill Creek.
And Mill Creek's really been a team that's really emerged these last couple seasons to be one of the better girls soccer teams in Gwinnett. Made a great run to the state semifinals last year. They're back again this season. They're the only Gwinnett 5A girls teams in the state rankings at the moment. They're ranked number 7. Got a big win over Northview, which is another good non-region win for the Hawks. They're 9-3-1 and overall 4-1 in the region.
And then finally, let's talk a little bit about the Parkview girls.
Yeah, another, like the Parkview boys, kind of slipped under the radar. It's interesting to say that about a Parkview team, but Parkview had a little bit of a down year on the girls' side last year. Lost in the first round of state. A little bit of a disappointing finish for them in the playoffs, but they're back for more this season. Really the best team so far in Region 8, the only unbeaten team left in Region 8. So a bright future here in the playoffs for the Panthers.
Yeah, talk about a couple of those teams, Will. We'll talk a little bit about Mill Creek. Like you said, the only girls team in 5A ranked right now. Do you still see them as the region champ, and how far do you think they can go in the playoffs?
Yeah, they've won some big games to get themselves in position to be the region champs over there in Region 7. I think they will get that top seed. I think it's important for the Hawks. I think getting one of those top 2 seeds is going to be very important in Region 7. You don't want to have to play a Brookwood or a Parkview coming out of Region 8 there in the first round. It's going to create some interesting first-round matchups.
And finally, let's talk about Parkview a little bit. Like you said, they've had kind of a little bit of an under-the-radar team. That's unusual for Parkview. That loss to Whitewater, a very talented team, but is that a tell a little bit for Parkview as they get deep into the playoffs?
Yeah, those teams down there are very excellent. Whitewater, Stars Mill, McIntosh, always going to have powerhouse teams. So losing one of those teams, certainly not disappointing. And really the way they played in that game, not horrible. Really showed a lot what they can do against one of the top teams in the state, regardless of class. So you got to think Parkview has a lot of confidence at this point, and ability that they can play with anybody. And certainly they have a lot of confidence going into that last game with Brookwood.
Time now for Will's World. We put 60 seconds on the clock, and we get in the mind of our very own Will Hammock, and it's brought to you by Nexstar Communications.
Yeah, a lot of news of late involving Maya Moore. She's been successful no matter where she's been, Collins Hill, UConn, and now in pro basketball, Rookie of the Year in the WNBA, but she's got selected officially for the Olympic squad.
Seconds on the clock, and we get in the mind of our very own Will Hammock, and it's brought to you by Nexstar Communications.
Yeah, a lot of news of late involving Maya Moore. She's been successful no matter where she's been, Collins Hill, UConn, and now in pro basketball, Rookie of the Year in the WNBA, but she's got selected officially for the Olympic squad. Kind of a formality. Everybody kind of knew she was going to make that team, and she also did well with her European League team. She won the Euro League title with her Spanish team over the recent break, so it's good to see her continue to win. And good news down at Georgia State with a Brookwood grad, Ben McClain. He's going to start for Georgia State, at least at this point. Coming out of spring, he earned the #1 job. In the spring, it was kind of expected. He's taking all the snaps with the #1s and really has learned that offense well for Coach Curry. So it's good to see him. He's a really good kid, comes from a great family, so good to see him earn that starting spot. Sticking with the college football theme, C.J. Uzama down at Auburn. He's a guy we saw play a lot of quarterback, some wide receiver up at North Gwinnett. Really, a quarterback was where he made his name up at North Gwinnett, but he's a guy that's moved into a tight end role at Auburn. He's very big. He's a big kid to begin with, but really grown, put on some weight. He's really working at the tight end H-back kind of position for Auburn. Really looks to be the heir apparent to Philip Lufsenkirchen down there, who's a very good player.
Well, thank you once again to Nexstar Communications for sponsoring Will's World. And Will, I want to ask you a little bit about Ben McClain down at Georgia State. Neat thing for Gwinnett County to have the quarterback at Georgia State. And do you see that program continuing to be a place where there will be a Gwinnett pipeline?
I think so. It's so close. Coach Curry's made a lot of appearances. We'll see him a lot from time to time, making appearances at the Gwinnett high schools. I think you're going to see him recruiting Gwinnett very heavily. And he definitely got a good one in Ben McClain. They've had a lot of changeover at the quarterback position at Georgia State, and if he gets that role, he's a guy that's a good leader, throws the ball very well, very steady player, and he's going to be good for that program.
And I know you keep up with Auburn as a big Auburn fan. Talk about CJ and kind of the way he's come on down there, and as he kind of makes his way in at tight end, do you expect him to be involved in some trick plays as well, or is he kind of just concentrating on that H-back position?
Yeah, I think he's a guy that gives you a lot of options in the offense. I think we saw it last year. He threw a touchdown pass against Georgia on a reverse, so I think you're still going to see a lot of that from the coaches down there at Auburn. But he's a guy that's got a lot of unique skills, not only with being able to throw the ball, but just his leaping ability. I think the main thing, not having played tight end a lot, they're going to have to work on his blocking. That's the thing he really needs to improve. But as a receiver, I think he has a lot of upside with his height, his athletic ability, his ability to jump.
Time now to focus on standout performances, so let's move on to this week's Building Blocks presented by Britt's Home Furnishing. And first up is Brandon O'Toole from Mill Creek.
And we talked a lot about Mill Creek, their ability to score, and he's one of those guys that can put the ball in the net. He had a big goal in this game. Nice non-regional win. Set up another one with his long throw in. He's a guy that's got a lot of talents on the offensive end of the field, and he really helps those Hawks to what we called earlier a breakout season. I think I look for that for Brandon and his team to continue to a lot of success in the playoffs.
And you mentioned her earlier in the show. Cosette Morche is a big reason why that Peachtree defense is so stout.
Yeah, I think she's got a chance to be maybe the best goalkeeper that Gwinnett's ever produced as a freshman. I think what she gives you is that size. We've had a lot of good goalkeepers over the years, but really has the size to be a big-time Division I goalkeeper. And it's excellent on penalty kicks, as we've already seen multiple times this season.
And then going back to Mill Creek, Nick Muntean playing some good soccer.
Yeah, Nick's been their most versatile, most consistent offensive player all year. I think he's their most dangerous player up top. Creates a lot of matchup problems, and he's really creative when he gets up there, finding ways to get the ball in the goal, whether it's with his feet and his head. He's really keys that attack up top. I know Tony Baza's a good midfielder, but when it comes to forwards, he's the guy that gets it done.
Well, our thanks to Britt's Home Furnishing for sponsoring that segment. And Will, who else played well last week that we should mention?
Well, shifting gears to baseball, Cody Short from North Gwinnett had a huge hit on Monday in Mill Creek. North Gwinnett knocked off Mill Creek in a huge region baseball game. Cody was 3 for 4, had the 8th inning game-winning hit to walk off and give the Bulldogs a huge win and gave them the region lead there in 7-5A.
All right, we're out of time, but you can visit us online at GwinnettPrepRally.com for the world-famous message board and video highlights. And you can also keep up with GPR on Twitter and on our Facebook fan page. Be sure to join us next week for more highlights and features on Gwinnett Prep Rally every Tuesday through Friday right here on GCPS TV. For Will Hammock and all of us here at GPR, I'm Todd Klein. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you under the lights.
Grab some wood there, bub.